Hi friends, Miss Lindsay here today. It's Wednesday, so I thought we'd make some Play-Doh for our activity today. Love making Play-Doh for the class. It's so cost effective as opposed to buying little jars. It's pretty easy and it lasts forever. Like if you make your homemade version, I've noticed it lasts like a good month or two before it even starts to dry out, as long as you keep it sealed in some plastic baggies. So hope you get to make some Play-Doh with me today. In the classroom, I would kind of theme it based on what we were doing in the classroom. So for example, for December, we were learning about gingerbread men, so I made gingerbread Play-Doh, or for January, we made snow Play-Doh, that kind of a thing. This is just my basic Play-Doh recipe. It's also on the website. I linked it under the materials list for this week, as well as under the messy play recipes. So I hope you guys get a chance to make some Play-Doh and then play with it a bunch today. Very valuable Play-Doh. We love it, and it's probably the least messy of our messy play recipes. So I hope you get a chance to do it with me today. And this is also, I know you guys can probably follow a recipe, but I kind of wanted to show you what it looks like, and also how you can kind of have your kiddos help with this activity and kind of bring them into this. There's a lot of different skills we develop as we're making Play-Doh. You can do counting, you can do measuring, you can do cause and effect, what's going to happen when we add this, you can do predictions. So lots and lots of valuable skills here, so that I hope you let your kiddos kind of help and do this together. So we're going to go ahead and get started. It's kind of messy, so if you want to wear like an apron, I have my very favorite Fox apron on, or make sure your kiddos aren't in their very best clothes to do this. We're going to start by mixing up our dry ingredients. So start with the flour here. And this is a great opportunity for your kiddos to be helping, especially before we get to the stove. So we need 2 cups or 2 scoops of our flour. So I'm going to go ahead and scoop it. This would be a great time for your kiddos to get in there and do some scooping. It's great for their finger muscles. And then you can also have them kind of level off the flour there and dump it in and tell them we need 2 scoops. So I'm going to put 1, and then do it again. And if you have multiple kiddos in the house, you can kind of take turns. So that's 2 scoops of flour. We're with the flour for right now. Our next ingredient is going to be the salt. And it's just regular old table salt is the best to use because it's kind of thin and mixes in pretty well. So we need 1/2 cup of the salt. So I'm going to say 1 scoop. So it's a great chance. Let your kiddos pour in the salt. Fill it up to the tippy top there. Pour it in. For our salt, our next ingredient. Our last dry ingredient is going to be the cream of tartar. So we need 2 teaspoons, and once you add your cream of tartar in, that's all the dry ingredients. So I like to use a couple different mixing tools for the Play-Doh recipe. The whisk is great for when it's still kind of dry, and then the rubber spatula for when we add our water and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and whisk together, and this is a great time for your kiddos to help. You can say, oh, I want you to stir it 10 times, and we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great counting opportunities, and also mixing is a good skill as well. Once we get it all mixed up in there, that part is done. So our next piece is to add the wet ingredients. I'm going to start with my vegetable oil. And I need 1 tablespoon, so maybe you can let your kiddos hold the spoon while you pour in the oil and have them dump it right in. 1 tablespoon of the oil. And then I'm going to add your food coloring. So this is also a great chance to let your kiddos kind of have some say in this, and they can kind of pick what color they might want to play with. And if you have multiple kiddos with multiple requests on what colors of Play-Doh you want, you can always kind of have this recipe and maybe make a couple different colors of it. I'm going to go ahead and do some blue because I love the color blue, and I have this really pretty neon color I want to try out. And however much you add is really dependent on how dark you want your color to be. I usually start with maybe about 5 or 6 drops, and kind of add more if I need to. So I'm going to add, that was more. 6, 1, 2, 3, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's try that. See what color I get. And then the last ingredient to add is our water. We need 2 cups of water. And you can kind of talk about number recognition. If you got to fill up the water up to the number 2 right there. And then let your kiddos pour it in. So I'm going to add my water. Let's see, 2 cups. That basically. Add that in there. And once all the ingredients are kind of combined and ready to go, you can break out your whisk again to kind of start to mix it. And then I recommend getting the rubber spatula because flour gets stuck in those corners a little bit. Once you get it mixed all together consistently, I don't want to spill it, but kind of got a pretty blue color going on there. It's time to take it over to the stove top, and this is definitely the part where the parents kind of take over, and maybe kiddos can watch from afar, but it does get a little bit hot. So I'm going to put this on the stove top. Kind of maybe medium. Medium is a good heat to set it at usually. You can see it there. Okay, cool. Right burner. And you kind of want to stir it consistently while it's cooking. You can kind of wait until it starts to stick to the bottom, then you really kind of want to get in there and start mixing it. Like I said, the rubber spatula is good once you've already mixed it all together because the flour kind of gets stuck in places a little bit. So I'm going to let that heat up, and then once it starts to stick to the bottom, I'm going to really get in there and mix it. While it's doing that, I'm going to get my station over here kind of ready because after it cooks, it needs some time to cool, and then you kind of knead it a little bit like bread dough or something. So I'm going to put some flour out on the counter, stop it from sticking, kind of get it ready. So I want to show you what the halfway kind of point is here, so you can kind of see how it's starting to stick to the bottom, but there's still some liquid in there. So probably at this point, I want to stir it pretty consistently until it kind of all comes together. And if it's still a little liquidy, that's okay because it's going to really firm up once it cools off and once you need in some more flour. So just kind of stir it until it comes all the way together. And mine's pretty much at that point. I think it's probably been cooking for maybe 5 minutes or so, so it doesn't take too long at all to come together. I think total maybe it takes me 10-15 minutes to make a batch of Play-Doh. So like I said, it's pretty cost effective, time effective, and I much prefer it the ready-made Play-Doh. Okay, I think mine's ready to go, so I'm gonna dump it out on the flour and show you guys. So, and it comes clean off, which is kind of cool. Like, look at that. You can kind of see steaming up pretty hot. That aside, and it's gonna be really hot at first, so I'm gonna let it sit and cool for maybe a good 5-10 minutes, and then I'm gonna jump in and knead it. And then once you kind of knead it and it feels cool enough, you can let your kiddos jump in and mix it and knead it as well. And then we'll talk about some different ways to play with your Play-Doh. So it's been about 5 minutes or so, and my Play-Doh is cool a lot, so I'm going to start kneading it. You can kind of see it sticks a little bit at first, but once you knead it, it really comes together and sticks all as one, which I love about Play-Doh. If you add flour as you need to, kind of like, I don't know, making any other kind of edible dough. And it feels nice and warm, but it's cooled off pretty quickly. At this point, you can probably let your kiddos jump in and really knead it and mix it until it starts to really come together. I love the color that I got there. It's one of my very favorite colors, I think. And then once you got your Play-Doh mixed and ready to go, I kind of wanted to talk about different ways you can play with it. So probably the best way that I like to play with it is with no toys, no tools, just with your hands and your fingers. But you kind of have to really be creative and encourage your kiddo if you want to do that, because I think you kind of lose interest pretty quickly. One of the things I discovered upon working with 3-year-olds is one of their favorite games to play Play-Doh with is actually just to have a mound of Play-Doh and just to stick things in it, like stick scissors and toys and popsicle sticks and anything they can find to make a little sculpture of Play-Doh and stuff, I thought it was pretty funny. But kind of some other things you can do. You can break out the scissors again if you have kid-sized scissors. The old ones, they work well with Play-Doh. If you use new ones, make sure you wash them off right away because they get kind of crusty, kind of quick. You can do cookie cutters, you can do rolling pins. I only have the big huge one. So if you want to let your kiddos use a big huge rolling pin, you can, or if there's kid size ones, or I've even seen like cylindrical blocks used as rolling pins work well. You can do, if you have stamps around the house, stamps and Play-Doh look really cool. One cool thing I saw for a bugs and flower unit was to get actual flower petals and make imprints in the Play-Doh and you kind of see the different patterns you get, which I thought was kind of cool. So you can do that if you want to. You can do counting. You can make lots of little balls. You can do animals with the Play-Doh. There's so many things you can do. So I hope you guys have some fun with your Play-Doh once you're done with it and it's kind of all ready to go like mine is. To store it, all you need really is a large Ziploc bag. And make sure it's cooled pretty much all the way before you seal it because it'll create some condensation in there, which will make your Play-Doh kind of soggy. But once it's all the way cooled and all the way done, stick it in there and make sure it's sealed. And it should last you a good month or so. So I think that's all I have for you. I hope you guys have some fun with Play-Doh. Like I said, we play with it once a week at minimum in the classroom, and they even have the opportunity to play with it anytime at centers if they want to. So we love Play-Doh. I know it's messy, but I hope you get a chance to play with it at home. Don't forget to join me tomorrow. We're making our butterflies tomorrow, and I'm so excited. It's super fun. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you had some fun. I did definitely. Give me some knuckles, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.